What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about this Ubisoft buyout situation. So the title is pretty interesting. It's actually pretty direct. Tencent and the Gilmour family are considering a buyout of Ubisoft, and I mean, it's as simple as that one. So really what I want to do in this video is kind of just discuss this downfall of Ubisoft and, where it's going. Now, look, they have a couple different stakes in it. I mean, those two being the highest one, right? I think the family has about 20%, and then Tencent has around like 9 or 10%. So like they don't even together have a majority stake, in Ubisoft, but they're relatively close. And we've actually kind of talked about this before, that there are other investors, minority investors, that have also called for Ubisoft to go private as well. So as time has gone on and more things just continue to happen to Ubisoft, I really, I guess Ubisoft's time isn't necessarily over, but the time of Ubisoft in like the way we see them right now, I really truly believe it's almost at an end. And in a lot of ways, I think there needs to be change. Like, I'm not trying to make this like, I'm trying not to make this in a way where it's like, let's massively defend Ubisoft or let's massively like attack them for no reason, right? Like, I want to have reason for what I'm saying. And my reasoning would be Ubisoft has made a lot of mistakes. Ubisoft has really caught themselves up in some bad gaming practices that have been showing themselves for a while, but without real repercussions. They also are just kind of weird. I remember I think I saw some tweets from like Colin Moriarty where like Ubisoft is ginormous. Like they have more people that are working there than some of the other big companies. And I don't know I don't know which in particular it beats, but I think they have more people than Sony. I think that I remember that's one of them. They might have more than EA. I'm not 100% sure, but they have money, they have franchises, they have people, they have actual talent, but they just can't put it together, at least haven't been able to put it together recently. And, like I said, like I feel like they've made decisions, they've made creative choices that have been hurting them, but kind of on like in the background, right? Like we might notice them, people might notice them here and there, but as we kind of always talk about with like the Assassin's Creeds of the world, right? No matter, I mean, like some people really like the newest trilogy, some people don't, they sell really, really well. So like that's almost an example of, even if you think they've done some bad practices, like I think some of these recent AC games have fallen into that Ubisoft trap of just like having 10 trillion things to do, right? Having the game be 150 hours just to do it. But yet again, that's masked by the game actually sells really well. So it's just a weird company. Maybe good to some people, maybe bad to other people, but it's a weird company. But recently, you're starting to see it. Recently, you're starting to see mistake after mistake after mistake, and now big things that are kind of supposed to be guarantees that are no longer that. Star Wars Outlaws really should have been a guarantee. And we talked about this before. You make an open world Star Wars game and it sells 1 million in a month. It would be terrible. It would. Sadly, it happened. So it is terrible, right? It's actually in the current time. Like, how do you even do that, right? And look, I don't think Star Wars Outlaws actually is a terrible game. It just is. It's a game. And it didn't make any special mark on me. I think it didn't make a special mark on a lot of different people. And maybe it did, again, to some, but obviously not enough. Obviously not enough because the game suffered. Ubisoft and their stocks continue to plummet. I think the stat is like they've lost half of their value just in 2024 alone. And you look at the last 10, 15 years of Ubisoft, they are on the decline. Now, economy has been pretty terrible, the last handful of years, and a lot of things are on the decline the last handful of years, but Ubisoft in particular, right, is kind of a egregious case. Like, something is wrong and something needs to be fixed. So I don't know, would making them private actually do anything? The answer to me, or like the thing that needs to happen, is just change. And that's very much easier said than done. But as I said, like these guys have tens of thousands of employees. There's just so many people there, and they got to get a handle on it because they're banking on Assassin's Creed, right? Not just Shadows, but there was a rumor. I mean, it's been talked about so often anyway. The rumor is, or maybe even the truth is, they are planning on 10 Assassin's Creed games over the next 5 years. Okay. You got games like Splinter Cell that's still kind of in the works, but it's, it's been dark for a long time. Prince of Persia, right? Sands of Time, been in the works, and it actually switched studios. Skull and Bones, the first quadruple A of our lifetime. What a game. Completely fails, right? Like, they have these, sometimes they have things that might be able to blow up, like a Splinter Cell. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, I think is really good. They're just weird. They're just a weird company that I do think has good talent, and I think can make good games, and has made good games, and has good properties, but just recently has not been able to really string anything together. And you're clearly, like I said, like, I think I've said this before, I don't want them to go away. Like, getting into the PlayStation 3 when I did at the time, you start to learn about games and learn about these companies that I didn't really pay attention to before. I probably knew Naughty Dog with Crash Bandicoot, and that's it. Like, that was my entire, up until I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. Maybe Sucker Punch and Sly Cooper. That was it. But you grow up and you get older, and you think Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed. I played Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, kept going. Like, Ubisoft for that. Prince of Persia, Rayman, which, by the way, they need to bring back. A lot of things. Like, Ubisoft definitely, I want them to be around. I think it would be a crazy day for Ubisoft to just disappear and no longer be around, on the face of the earth anymore. But the way that they are now versus the way that they will be in like a year from now, I do think it's almost got to change, because can you really keep going? What do you expect to turn it around? You know what I mean? Especially, this is a big ship. You're not turning a small ship around. You're turning a huge ship around. Okay, well, you can still do it, but, like, what's going to do it? And Star Wars Outlaws could have been the start of it, and it wasn't. In fact, it hurt the ship more. The ship is still sailing towards the iceberg. Outlaws was supposed to pivot it a little bit. Now it's supposed to be Assassin's Creed Shadows. Well, to be honest with you, honestly, and I've said this before, like, a lot of the talk online with the Yusuke stuff and a lot of the other stuff, I would have chalked up to, it's deep, and it gets deep, and I don't want to go into it right now. We've talked about it before. But, sometimes that doesn't reflect the sales. Sometimes that can just be noise online. Not saying it's right or wrong. It can just sometimes just be noise, and it doesn't affect the game. Well, I got to be real. I actually think it will affect the game. I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is not looking at like this perfect launch. I actually would say I don't believe it is like a full-on lock to just be impervious to, all these things. And it's just going to always sell well, just like all the Assassin's Creed games do. I don't know if that's the case anymore. And especially if you're expecting it, again, like, it's expected. It's going to just do good no matter what. It's going to be the game, one of the games, the only game that, like, starts to turn the ship around. Well, number one, if you're expecting that or you're assuming that, that's risky, because it's one game. You know what I mean? I think you need a movement, not necessarily just one game. And then number two, if it doesn't work, you have another Outlaw situation, but even bigger, because at this point, the investors that are still, investing money, you got to imagine they still believe Assassin's Creed can help Ubisoft and help make money and help make them money. And if Assassin's Creed doesn't do it, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, Ubisoft already loses half of their, market value. Imagine if Assassin's Creed doesn't do well, and it might not. I don't know. I don't want it to do not good if it's a good game. If it's a good game, I want it to do well. But we don't know that. We really don't know it. So, I don't know. I just, kind of wanted to rant a little bit about it. I don't want them to go away. I want them fixed, and maybe they have to change in order to make them be fixed. I think that's probably what needs to happen. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icons turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.